Do you think I'd be talking about her, or do you think I'd be talking about like, you know, that weird Emmanuel Goldstein guy? Like, who do you think I'd be talking about? Yes.
Okay. I would say if many other people know her as Angelina Jolie, let these many other people sign her key as Angelina Jolie. The fact that the other people know her under a name doesn't make me sign her key under that name. It has me to know her as under that name.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Okay, so nobody would sign her key because I guess, you know, nobody's banging her, so you don't know that she's really who she says she is, and that's okay. Here's a serious example. Does anybody know who security-officer at netbsd.org is? Who is it? Is it one person? Is it a team of people? Who is it?
It's a team of people.
Okay. What are their names? Do you know their names?
Well, not from my head, but I can just check it out.
Does it matter?
Well, yeah, if people are signing their keys saying, I know this key is security-officer at netbsd.org, how do you know that if it's not even a real person? I mean, she's not a real person, and nobody here would sign her key for that reason, so why does it matter if, you know, she looks like that, or if she looks like they look like that? You know, what's the difference?
It's a role. You're signing an email only.
Okay, yes, you're signing an email only. But how do you know if one person within the role or the group, you know, say, takes a signature and doesn't tell anybody else about it? How do you know that there's internal consistency within the group? How do you know there's even a group? How can you verify an identity, even if it's an email address, if you're not sure as to whether the verification process is correct?
By sharing that address, they took the risk. I mean, it's outside of my control.
Okay, but you'd still, if it's outside of your control, you'd still put your signature on it? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just asking you.
Okay, someone who has control of that email got it.
Okay. Was there somebody else? Or somebody over here? This guy.
Thank you. I wouldn't sign it. I think it works the other way around. I mean, the people working as security officers sign this role key, and those identities I can prove. So I would sign those keys, and they would again sign the role key. So no problem at all.
I agree with you completely, and that's what I would do, but this key has 24 signatures on it. Security-officer at netbsd.org has signed 3 other keys. So does that mean the entire team has verified the information? One person in the team? How many people are in the team? Is it 2 people? Is it 100 people? I don't know. But the team as a whole publicly asserts that they have signed and verified 3 other keys. They have a mean shortest distance of 4.6, which is pretty decent. I mean, it's not horrible, but they're well connected within the web of trust. They're ranking 2,750 out of about 30,000. And there are only 3 hops from my key. In fact, there are 3 hops by 4 different paths from my key. And this guy, the second hop guy, is the one who said that he won't sign pseudonyms. So, I mean, I might disagree with the guy's policy, but I know that I will trust anything that he signs because the guy is more serious about it, more strict about it rather, than I am. So,
A more extreme example is the Heise cryptocurrency key, which has a lot of signature on it. And there you don't even have a team. You know, this is the Heise firm, but you don't have any people behind it.
what do you mean you don't have any people behind it?
For me, this key is a very abstract identity. For me, it is not connected to any people, but only like like a CA for SSL. It
Okay.
this is an identity that gives out that has a policy that gives out certifications to other people, but not the other way around.
Okay. I can give you another example of something like that. CA Cert, who's here, has a bot that will do it if you verify through some other means. And while I don't disagree with this, a lot of people have reciprocated by signing the bot's key. And it's not even a real person, it's just an automated program, and they're still signing a key. You know, if you know that this program has really been written and run by them and has no weird backdoors, then sure, but I haven't seen the source code and I don't know how it works. But people still sign it.
But Heise CA prints their fingerprint in their magazine. So you got a fingerprint, but in CR cert you don't even get one.
Well, so does this guy. I mean, he printed his fingerprint in, you know, the DEF CON magazine, and a lot of people didn't do any further research and signed it. And to some people, this is good enough, but to other people, it's not. Where do you draw the line? I'm not saying I disagree with you. It's just there's no way of quantifying the level of trust involved. And with different people, there's different levels of trust, and there's no way of specifying this.
In nearly every country in the world, a corporation is entitled to a legal identity of its own. So I don't see any problem with a key belonging to a corporation in its own name.
It's a very good
And
point.
procedures exist in most countries to establish who is behind the corporation.
Right, but at the end of the day, yeah, there are legal ways of saying, you know, if the company gets sued and because they did something blatantly illegal, somebody's going to go to jail for it. And there's still a chain of responsibility, you know, whether it's the board of directors or each individual shareholder, there's still a way of tracing back that responsibility. And with a corporation, it's public. So you can do your research and find out who the people involved are, but how do I know that NetBSD has decided to update their webpage recently and the people listed as security-officer, and I don't think I was able to get this information off their webpage. How do I know that they're the people who really represent this key?
Is NetBSD a corporation?
I do believe it is.
I'm a bit hesitant when it comes to company keys because maybe I know this company, I know the guys working there, I trust them, I signed their company key. The next day, some evil rich man buys the company, fires every one of them, and puts some untrusted team behind that key. And according to the law, that old team has to give that secret key to the new team because
They don't have to.
everything-
They could revoke the key and say,
not
make your own.
legally, not legally. They own the designs. It would be an illegal act if they revoke the key when the owner says
If
they're not allowed
if
to
the
do it.
if the person whose job description was to administer such things was fired, it would be proper operating procedure to revoke the key and tell the incoming new person to generate a new one.
Not according to the laws in my country.
Really?
So I've,
What
and
country?
anyway, I'm from Sweden. It
Okay.
would probably be a legal act to revoke that
Really?
key if the owner says you're not supposed to revoke it.
Okay.
So,
Well-
so signing a company key means for me, I'm signing something into the future that I don't know if it's valid tomorrow. And that's a bit scary, I think.
Yes, that is, I find that very interesting and very scary as well, so I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Can revoke signatures.
You can, yeah.
So what?
Do people do it? No. Do people revoke IDs? You guys do, but do people in general? And unfortunately, the answer to that is... That's true. All right, one more thing, and then we got to move on because we're running out of time. So,
If the identity on the key you are signing is the one of the company, if the company gets bought out, I mean, it's not the person's identity that you sign, it's the company. So it follows the buyout.
okay. All right, so here's another thing I've heard at these key signing parties. You can always trust a photo ID. Can somebody tell me what is wrong with this photo ID?
What's wrong is what you see, because
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about this license right here. Okay, okay, so when this license expires, she's no longer this person. Like, I've been turned down at bars from buying drinks because my driver's license has been expired. So, I was, older than 21 a week ago, but I'm not anymore. So maybe I'm not 21 anymore, but there's something very obviously wrong with this ID. Can somebody tell me what it is? This guy in back. Okay, well, let's just say this is what a South Carolina driver's license looks like. It's a little more obvious than that. Can anybody at all? What about her last name? Yes. Yes, okay. Her name really is Sarah Lane. I found this woman by just doing a Google Images search for fake ID, and she posted in her blog, this fake ID was great, even though they obviously fucked up my last name and abbreviated it like a street. It still let me buy liquor for 3 years. Her last name is Lane. The signature is Sarah Lane. And somebody was like, oh yeah, Lane is a street, so LN period, Lane. But other than that, this looks exactly like a South Carolina driver's license. I mean, I had a friend who was from Maine, and Maine is one of those out-of-the-way places, which is the nice way of saying it. But he had a driver's license from the early 90s. It was a piece of paper that was filled in with typewriter, and it was very badly laminated. Nobody would ever let him buy alcohol using this ID as a proof of his age, because they'd look at it and they'd laugh and be like, come on, you can do better than that. But the funny part is, it was a 100% legitimate photo ID. But it looked like shit, so nobody took it. So how do you know what's real and what's not? And I mean, I have no idea what a Swedish driver's license looks like. No idea. How?
It had been expired long ago, in 1999.
Yeah, the expiration.
And so it has to be a very...
I pulled this image off the web, so let's pretend the expiration date is 2010. I'm working with what I got. I don't have any fake IDs. I actually don't have any, but... Anyways, next slide. Okay, I never sign a key that doesn't have a real name. You can always verify a real name with photo ID. Let's pretend, fake IDs, they exist, but you can usually tell a bad ID from a good ID or whatever. Well, does anybody recognize this guy? Again, Google Images search, fake ID, one of the first things that popped up. But this looks like a Virginia's driver's license and expired. I guess people aren't posting new fake IDs to the web. Sorry. All right, can somebody, if you do know who this is, don't say anything, but does anybody here know who this is? If you do, raise your hand. Okay, the people who have seen this talk while I was working on it know who this is. Here's her driver's license. She lives in Maryland. Her name is Barbara Pierce. She lives at 160 Madison Avenue in Baltimore. And one common problem that a lot of people have with showing off their photo ID is that it gives out too much information. I don't like showing mine off because I had to walk for like half an hour through the rain on a very bad day, so I look really pissed off. My hair is like all froofy and everything. It's the most awful picture of me I've ever seen in my life. So when somebody sees my credit card and says check ID and they ask me for my ID, I apologize as I hand it to them because I don't want them to see that. But, it's there for a reason. A lot of people don't like showing off their IDs because, especially in the hacker scene, when people go by pseudonyms, they don't like giving out their personal information. I mean, I'm going by my real name, Seth Hardy, but I'm okay with telling people where I live. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people do. And I understand the reasons why people do have issues with that, and I understand why people don't want to show off these things. At the last year's key signing party, people would hold their thumb over their address and be like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to give out where I live. Okay, it's not relevant.